Alright, it's 8:42. I just finished jacking off, I got a can of energy drink and a whole fuck ton of ramen. I'm ready to do this. Let's go, babies. When we begin the story, we're shown a colony of rabbits living on Easter Island. They're all clearly intelligent, carrying out their respective jobs they need to perform in order to keep the system running. However, two are the most important: the current holder and the heir to the title of the Easter Bunny. Take notes here, kids. E.B. and his dad are so far the only characters who are wearing clothes. From the line of paintings seen in the intro, we are led to believe this is not uncommon. Quite a few Easter bunnies have traditionally worn outfits. From this, a media-savvy audience is likely to make the obvious assumption. Since magic is real, we see its influence several times throughout the movie, surely these are a special kind of magic rabbits which can think and talk, separate from those outside Easter Island. E.B. seems to think this too.
I said, that's a bit extreme. There's an easy explanation as to why I can talk. It's a simple combination of cuteness and magic. Okay.
This is not true, and falls apart with even the slightest scrutiny. First of all, E.B. and his dad are the only rabbits who talk. The others gesticulate, emote, and vocalize, but never speak English words. Second of all, let us imagine the world in which this possibility is true. There is no civilization on Easter Island, no town outside the factory, no obvious signs of infrastructure, solely the inner machinations of the candy machines. If we assume that the magic of Easter, or the island, or the staff, or whatever, has chosen to uplift these rabbits in specific, it can only be for slave labor. They were given the gift of intelligence to toil away making chocolate bunnies their entire life with no reprieve. I don't believe this to be the case. First of all, because I've never been fond of game theory shit like that, where the good guys are secretly evil, but mostly because there just isn't canon basis for it. I'd have to be speculating, and I'm trying to stick to hard facts right now. So I don't believe these rabbits have been uplifted magically, with the exception, perhaps, to the gift of speech bestowed upon E.B. and his father, and the power to shit jelly beans. If we follow that logic, the same magic must have similarly granted speech to the other two talking animals in the film, the chickens Carlos and Phil. A case could maybe be made that Carlos is considered deserving since he serves the Easter Bunny, but why Phil? Phil is a menial worker the same as any other non-speaking chicken. Nothing is unique about him, and yet he speaks. This is not the work of a divine intelligence. Speech is something the elites of Easter Island are more likely to possess, not something only they have. Okay, so to recap. Rabbits and chickens on Easter Island are sapient and possess the capability of speech, although few seem to have grasped it fully. Maybe the Easter Bunny lineage was selected because of their grasp of speech, or maybe they're just more inclined towards it because it helps with the job. I don't know. Now we zoom out, from the island to the world. If this is an Easter Island rabbit, what is a normal Earth rabbit in this universe? Well, this is it. This CGI creature in the universe of Hop is a rabbit. We never see a normal rabbit anywhere else in the film, which leads me to believe there is nothing magical or unique about this creature. Here is my proof.
Ow. Oh, it's still alive.
Fred sees this thing in the road and his reaction is, it's still alive. Not, holy shit, this rabbit is wearing clothes. Not, that's a very large and bipedal rabbit. He only sees a rabbit. An animal. This is normal. What is abnormal is the next part.
You know what, we can leave the insurance companies out of this. I could just, maybe, come live with you for a couple of months.
No. Not real.
Fred panics and repeats "not real" when he sees a rabbit speaking to him. Thus, as our audience surrogate in the movie, we know this is unusual. Except, no, we don't. Zero other characters have this reaction. At a diner, he's treated like a customer. David Hasselhoff gives his audition a thoughtful judgment with no questions asked. The Blind Boys of Alabama play with him, and even this complete rando with no skills talks to him like an equal. People are lightly surprised, maybe, but not shocked. A talking rabbit is not an earth-shattering revelation. In other words, characters like the Pink Berets are normal rabbits. Any rabbit in this world, with the right training and a pink hat, could do what the Berets do. Make logical decisions, reason, track down a missing person, and even incapacitate a human in a fight. But then, why is Fred shocked? Why is this so weird to him? Why does he make E.B. pretend to be a normal rabbit and then a toy? here's where we leave concrete facts and approach speculation, because this is the part of the world building the movie is not interested in discussing. This isn't related to the plot, so it's not important in the movie. It's all me now. Fred is acting this way because Fred is racist. Hear me out. Let's look at this scene.
You realize you can't talk.
No, I can.
No, what I mean is you shouldn't talk.
Notice the words, not you can't talk, you shouldn't. Despite their obvious intelligence, something surely studied and proven by an observing scientist in universe, Fred believes a rabbit's place is to be seen and not heard. The rest of society considers it a mere intrigue, but reasonable enough that a rabbit could learn how to speak. Fred doesn't want to believe it. For at least part of the movie, he is prejudiced against rabbits and believes humans to be their intellectual superior. Speech is a challenge to that natural hierarchy. So he lies.
They might freak out and want to dissect your brain.
Dissect? That's a bit extreme.
He tells EB they dissect him, and EB, who has no experience with human society, listens. This is not fear he is exhibiting in this scene, it's a desire for control. But then EB pushes back, calling his bluff.
A peculiar garnish. Can I get some chocolate syrup?
Sure, doll.
Thanks, love.
Oh,
And visibly angers Fred. This man hates rabbits. Knowing that gives this movie a whole new edge, much like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This is an allegorical story about a man learning to overcome his natural prejudices and see that the people he initially assumed below him are no different than he is, capable of good and evil, kindness and cruelty. I could even go a step further and say this prejudice was implanted as a natural rejection of his supposed Easter Bunny sighting as a child. After all, having that sighting he's always tried to disbelieve being proven to him is the first step on his character arc to accepting EB. It's the reason he doesn't abandon him in the woods. He took EB to the woods because he hates rabbits. It's a perfect metaphor for go back where you came from, because he's not even right. EB doesn't live in the fucking woods, he lives in a bedroom. In fact, I'd argue this movie is a better xenophobia allegory than Zootopia. I've always hated the predator-prey dynamic as a metaphor for race relations, since one is actually legitimately dangerous to the other. It makes the whole thing fall apart, since historically prey have a reason to fear predators. But humans and rabbits? Jasper Ford proved it works, and Hop beat him to the punch by a decade by depicting its reviled minority as smart, civilized, and helpful people who some of the majority just can't see as equals for bullshit biological reasons. It is a shame, admittedly, that Russell Brand has to be the face of them, but I guess Ford's rabbits were British too. It's also a shame the rest of the movie is pretty racist against chickens and Chinese people. Where was I? Right, G-Force. I've actually got less to say on this one. Okay. We start the movie making the same assumptions we did for Hop. We see these government agents who are all non-human animals, and we naturally assume they have been uplifted in some way through the cold hand of science. This, spoilers for G-Force, is not true. The plot twist is that they were never biologically enhanced in any way, just placeboed and extremely well trained in their fields. The only thing unique is the headsets they wear, which translate their speech and the words they hear. However, this twist is obvious if you've been paying attention and don't take what the movie tells you at face value. This asshole who lives in the pet store is just as intelligent with none of the uplifting. As are these 3 mice, and these cockroaches, and this fly, just like Hop. The humans cannot understand these animals, but they still gesticulate, react, and emote with obvious intelligence. Except, society doesn't treat them like it treats the rabbits and Hop, with curiosity but warm acceptance. They are bought and sold. It is here we face a conundrum often faced by these Secret Life of Animals movies, which is that, in order to be sufficiently anthropomorphized and empathized with by the human audience, even a non-talking animal must act like a human, move with intelligence. The humans, in Beverly Hills, Chihuahua, cannot understand their dogs, but if you saw a dog doing this shit, you would instantly know that that bastard was your intellectual equal. Usually we accept this as a translation convention. We know they're not literally acting like this in the movie, just as they're not literally speaking English. But not in G-Force. Because we see them through human and animal eyes, we know they move like humans do. They stand on 2 legs more often than 4. With no human assistance, they can think and rationalize and problem solve. They can even use tools, the surest signs of sapiency. This is the dark timeline, the kind of shit Keen Milton fought against. Humans know that small mammals are just as smart as them, but a select few treat them with the respect they deserve. Speckles declares war on humanity for this same reason. His family was killed, exterminated needlessly by a species that saw their intellectual equals as disgusting pests. Am I excusing Speckles' actions? No, of course not. But his cause was reasonable, and by the end of the movie it is brushed under the rug. Like so many action movie villains, the audience is happy he is defeated, with no acknowledgement of the reasons he fought. The G-Force is a government team, working for the humans that exterminate and sell their kind. They perpetuate the Grizzly system and support the nation that stomps on their brothers and sisters because it benefits them personally. I just bit my fucking tongue. Hop is a movie about learning to change. G-Force is a movie about learning to assimilate and giving yourself up in the process. And they're both pretty awful movies.